Good morning to everyone here. Welcome to this part of the presentation. So first of all, towards who are we? The Federation of European Publishers is an independent non-commercial umbrella association. Our members are 29 national associations of book publishers from all over Europe, 28 countries, mainly the European Union and European Economic Area. You see there the countries, probably your association is a member of ours if you're part of a publisher association. And we've been around for more than 50 years, representing the interests of all kinds of book publishers, in particular for what concerns the EU policies. And we have been, Thierry announced, coordinating the research on in the framework of the Eudicom project. So our research had the objective of collecting information about the comic book market in Europe, of course, and also assessing the degree of digitization of this market, because then we want to help publishers step up their digital game. And this input will be instrumental to build the tools, the training tools that will come later on in the project. How did we do that? For the time being, we have administered quantitative questionnaires to find out about the size of the markets. Our partners in focus countries, Italy, Poland, Spain, and of course France, where Isneo stems from, have taken care of that. And then we have also administered the questionnaire to all of FEP members, so another 20 odd countries. And we have also prepared a qualitative questionnaire which we are administering to a number of individual publishers from all over Europe through interviews. I'll give you some preliminary results. First of all, really an overview of the responses. Of course, we have gathering detailed information from the focus countries, again, France, Italy, Poland, and Spain. And we have been able to gather also comprehensive information from other major markets for comic books, that is Belgium and Germany. And then we have found a little information about, as I said, another almost 20 countries from our membership. And first of all, we have figured out, maybe for you it won't come as a surprise, that the comic book market is significant, but only in a limited number of territories and countries. Detailed information on comic book sales, and especially in digital, is very difficult to find. This is no exception. Also, information on digital sales of books in general is difficult to find. Comic books publishing is, to an extent, a niche sector, and often it has relatively weaker links with the rest of the sector, also in association terms. So sometimes comic publishers are not necessarily members of national associations, which makes it a bit more difficult for us to reach out to them. And in most cases, the digital penetration in the sector is very low. So it's confirmed that there is a need for some support to step up the digital game. Going a bit more into the substance of what we find out from the quantitative point of view, data from the main markets we surveyed show that the big markets, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, produce some 3,000–4,000 new comic titles per year. Here we're talking print, with France coming on top of the ranking. Mid-size markets such as Belgium and Poland have 1,000 to 2,000 titles per year, with Belgium, since it's a relatively small country, punching above its weight in terms of number of titles. There are between 100 and 400 comic book publishers in most of these major markets. Again, France is the one that has the most. Few publishers in Spain, less than 50, even though the production is comparable to other large markets. Poland also has less than 50, and Belgium has 75. Again, a large number compared to the size of the country. Turnover, in most cases, in the large markets where comics are relevant, they represent 2 to 6% of publishers' sales. But there are notable exceptions. In France, comic books represent 15% of the market, and in French-speaking Belgium, comic books make up 1/3 of publishing revenues. This doesn't mean 1/3 of all books sold in the country, but it's 1/3 of the revenue of French-speaking Belgian publishers. Average prices range between 7.5 and 15 euros, but there is no clear link between the average price and the country's income. And digital catalogs, the situation is very varied. There are between a few and several thousand titles available in Italy, Spain, Germany, also in Belgium. But there are more than 20,000 digital titles available already on the French market, whereas there are very few for the time being in Poland. More on the quantitative side for other markets, then we'll see later the detail country by country. But overall, we've seen, again, that in terms of production, very little information is available, likely hundreds of titles per year. At best, publishers are often very few. In some countries, there are barely any comic book publishers. Turnover is a very small share of the market. In most cases, already Luke told us it's less than 2%, although there are a few exceptions. The market is a niche market, mostly based on imported titles, and the level of digitization is very low. Digital presence, so a few results from the qualitative questionnaires. Digital presence and strategy of the publishers we have interviewed. They do all have a digital presence. They all are very well aware that you need digital for example, marketing, but not many of them do sell digital products. They do, in most cases, intend to go digital. They see the digital market as an opportunity, but they all say that they want to wait until the conditions are right. So they have, all in all, a positive but cautious attitude towards digital. And the purely digital option, so going for only publishing digital titles, is not seen for the time being as viable by many comic books publishers who are not already doing it, of course. We have asked about challenges and opportunities of going digital, and the challenges they have identified. First of all, there is the perception that readers of comic books are very much attached to paper. They see themselves as collectors, so they want very much to own a print copy of their favorite comics. Obviously, piracy, won't be a surprise for anyone here, is seen as an extremely difficult challenge to tackle, because, of course, competing against an offer that is for free on digital is extremely difficult for anyone. Publishers do want to, well, remunerate authors and sustain their business, and competing with offers for free is extremely tough. There is a need to find the best business models when you go digital, because there are obviously differences from the physical domain. And there is also, for some, the awareness of a risk of placing your digital product wrongly. So you have to really know what you want to do with your digital media when you publish comics. And then webtoons that Luke already mentioned have been perceived already by several publishers that we interviewed as a potential, well, let's say, threat to their market, because there are very aggressive policies of conquering European markets on behalf, for example, in this case, of Korean publishers. And still, many people we interviewed see digital as an opportunity. They would really like to take up this opportunity, but they need to have the right conditions. Therefore, there is definitely an interest in a dedicated platform if it were available. We've been told that they would like it to be accessible, fair, effective, and supportive from a technological point of view. Why? Because one thing that everyone basically agrees on is that in order to go digital, you need investments. It's really not true that going digital is as easy as creating a file and putting it out there. That may be what a pirate can do, but a professional publisher that wants to build a sustainable business and remunerate his or her authors also from digital sales needs a solid plan and needs strong investments. So any support from that point of view will be welcomed by the publishers that we have interviewed. So with this, I'll just make another few concluding remarks again that we see from our preliminary survey. We have seen that we have difficulties in finding data and also in comparing different countries because not everyone measures things the same way. We do plan to continue our effort throughout the project. So the survey is not over, and we absolutely welcome input from all interested stakeholders. So all of you that are here today, also spread the word. This project is going to go on for more than for a year and a half now. We are interested in all kinds of information. You'll see later on the presentations on individual countries. If you see your country up there and you think you have more information or better information, we are happy to hear from you. What we know for the time being, just a brief summary, and then give the word back to Thierry, is that the digital market for comics is very small. But it means that there is a huge opportunity for growth if the demand is there. And there is definitely a large untapped potential. And there is at the same time potential for our platform to provide support for all publishers in taking advantage of tapping this kind of potential. And also from the, let's say, the push side, there is a clear and present danger, a risk that non-European platforms and players will fill the void that currently is present in digital distribution of comics in Europe. So this is also an invitation to all of you to get active, get ready, step up your digital game, because digital comics, one way or another, are coming. And if they don't come from Europe, they might come from the US or Asia. So with this call for action, I'll give the word back to Thierry, and thank you all for your attention.